The Phantom of the Opera. The air in the opera house was humming with excitement. It was the first night under new millenniums. Voices were warming up with high trills, and stage hands were milling around looking for props. The star of the show, Charlotta, stomped around complaining. How can I be accepted to sing, she wailed, to no one in particular, but me grew thirst from all the smoke in the horrible city. Down the corridor from Charlotta, dancers fussed and fiddled with their costumes, but in one dressing room the evening performance was the last thing anyone was thinking about. I heard the ghost has different hats that he changes as he pleases, said one of the dancers. I've heard he has no nose, cried another, whose one nose was wildly admired. "You're all wrong," said the door dancer smugly. "I've seen the phantom with my very own eyes." The other turned to stare at her. He was one head, and you could mistake him for a gentleman, in his long black cloak and fine hat. But I don't know about his nose because his face was covered with a mask. "A mask?" the girls cried. The dancer paused dramatically. "They say the phantom's face is so horrific and so frightening it will make a grown man weep." "Oh!" screamed the girls. "Enough of that nonsense," interrupted Madame G, who was in charge of the show. "We have a crisis. Charlotta is refusing to sing." The girls began to whisper among themselves. They dragged a shy girl named Christine over to Madame G. "Christine can do it." "But she doesn't know the part," cried Madame. "I do," said Christine softly. "I sing it every night after the show." Madame looked her up and down and sighed. "What choice do I have?" "Well, get into costume, go." A surprising voice. Chapter 2. The audience waited irritably in their red velvet seats. They gazed up at the huge glass chandelier suspended from the painted ceiling. Slowly the lights dimmed. The curtains went up and the cast swarmed onto the vast stage. Their voices filled the air like a chorus of angels, and their bright costumes glittered as they danced. When Christine walked on, the stage became dark and silent. A single light shone on her. She opened her mouth and sang from her heart. It was the sweetest, most beautiful sound. When she finished, there was silence for a minute before loud applause erupted. The noise rang dizzy in Christine's ears, and she fainted. The audience watched in silence as Christine's limp body was picked up and carried off stage. She was placed in a chair in her dressing room. Madame G dropped smelling salts under her nose, and she blinked open her eyes. "My dear, you are magnificent," said Madame G, fanning with her handkerchief, "and you have a visitor." "He's a count," she whispered excitedly before rushing out. A handsome young man came into the room. "Mademoiselle," he said, tipping his hat. "Count, do excuse me," Christine said, trying to stand up. "No, please rest," said the Count. "You had quite a turn." "I just came to say he went to. I'm a huge fan of the opera, and I thought you were wonderful. You should sing every night." Christine blushed. "I was just standing in for Charlotta. You're a million times better than her." He, dele- he declared Anyway, I better go. Good night. The Count shut the door behind him and leaned against it for a moment. He could hear a dim male voice coming from the room, but there was no one else in there, he mumbled. He had his ear to the door when a couple of dancers came by, so he quickly walked away. The Phantom Demon. Chapter 3. What is the meaning of this? The new manager of the opera house waved a piece of paper at Madame G. It's the Phantom, she said nervously. I tell the girls he isn't real, but the truth is for 20 I work here for 20 years and we have always given in to him. She shuddered. If we don't, he'll make a big trouble. Phantom, you mean a ghost? Said the manager. If some crook who shook around my opera house thinks he can wheedle money out of me, he's got another thing coming. Suddenly the door swung open and a stagehand burst in. It's Pickle has been taken. Taken. Pickle was the manager's beloved pet dog. My little Pickle. What? How? Flippered the manager. I heard Pickle barking and saw a man in a cloak in the shadow. Madame G shivered. It's the Phantom. Mark my words, manager. Pay up quickly or something dreadful will happen. The Count was hovering by Christine's dressing room. He had heard about the Phantom and was worried about her, especially after her hearing the strange voice in the room the week before. Count! Christine almost walked into him as he came out. She looked around nervously and blocked his view into her room. "Can I help you?" he asked, with a bright smile. "I just wanted to make sure you're all right after fainting last week." He paused as he heard the same deep voice coming from her room. "Who's that?" "Oh, no one," Christine trailed. "I'm fine, thank you, but I must dash." And she shut the door in his face. The Count was more puzzled than ever, so did he hid behind some customs and decided to wait. After a few minutes, Christine came out dressed in a hooded cloak. She rushed down the corridor and out of the opera house. The Count followed her along the lamp lamplit streets until they reached a small, gloomy graveyard. Graveyard. The moonlight cast creepy shadows on the ancient stone gate. The Count watched as Christine knelt by a grave. The church bells began to chime midnight. Some violin music floated on the air. Christine swayed and sang along to the music as if in a trance. The Count was captivated until her face felt the hand on his shoulder that chilled him to a bone. He looked into a pair of blood-red eyes and let out a scream. The eyes so red, the Count whispered. As he spoke, the figure vanished. "Count, what eyes? What are you talking about?" asked Christine, running over to him. "And the violin, did you hear the violin?" said the Count, dazed. Christine looked afraid. "Yes, I did," she admitted, "but I don't know who's playing. I come here to sing and my father screamed. Before he died, he told me an angel of music would visit me. And has one?" The Count opened his eyes wide. He comes to the opera house, she said. "He taught me everything I know about singing, but I've never seen him. So the voice I heard, yes, that was him. He says I'll be the most famous singer in Paris. We'll keep it a secret." The Count looked serious. "If you want me to," he said. "Now let me walk you back. It's late." An unforgettable performance. Chapter 5. The next morning was bright and sunny. Charlotta was lying in bed eating chocolate truffles when her maid came with a letter. "What's this?" Charlotta demanded, her mouth full of chocolate. "It's a threat. Someone is telling me not to sing. How dare they? Get my things. I'm going straight to the manager." In less than an hour, Charlotta was in the manager's office. Moaning sore, she shrieked as she slapped down the letter. He read it quickly and went pale. "It's the Phantom," he muttered. "Phantom?" Charlotta's ears pricked up. "I'm not afraid of a ghost. I will sing tonight." That night the whole cat felt uneasy, but Charlotta wasn't in the least worried. "Phantom? Pah!" she declared. She fluffed up her costume and marched on stage. Charlotta lifted up her arms and opened her mouth wide, but all that came out was loud harsh. The audience gasped. Charlotta continued to croak like a toad, and the audience began to laugh. Croak! The manager, who was looking in disbelief, heard a chilling voice in his ear. "Charlotta sings tonight to bring the house down. I beg your pardon." The manager spun around, but the figure bent behind him and got. At the moment, a deafening croak shook the hall. Everyone, everyone looked up. The glass chandelier, which sparkled above the audience, was coming loose. Plaster fell from the ceiling in great chunks, and huge lights swung dangerously. The audience began to scream and run from their seats. The singers on stage were horrified. With an almighty crash, the chandelier fell, narrowly missing Charlotta. Then all of the lights went out and a terrifying ghoulish laugh echoed around the opera house. The underground secret. Backstage, Christine stared at the madness in terror. As she watched, a black cloak billowed around her and she was swept away. She tried to scream for help, but her cries were muffled. But then the cloak blindly, she tumbled down a flight of stairs and along a maze of twisty paths. The air around her became colder and damper as she struggled to get free. Finally, her captor released his grip. She opened her eyes and blinked. Underneath the opera house was another world. She saw a misty lake with stony tunnels leading off in different directions. Huge candles flickered and wax dripped down the dark, dank wells. "Don't be afraid, Christine," said a deep, metal-like voice. "You," Christine gasped, spinning around. "My angel of music!" But he wasn't what he had imagined. She came face to face with a man in a mask. It was the Phantom of the Opera. She took a step back. "Afraid? Don't be scared," he said. "I'm your friend. Please join me." He took her shaking hands and led her into a boat, which set them the mysteries like the boat began to float away. Christine could help but be ancient is incredible. "I am the voice you hear, but I'm no angel." He turned his masked face toward the shadow. "You've been so kind to me." She paused. "Why do you hide down here?" "It's safe. No one can laugh in my face." The Phantom said sadly, "What do you mean? I'm too ugly." "It can't be the bat. Will you show me?" Christine asked gently. "No," shouted the Phantom, suddenly angry. "Of all people, I don't want to show you. But you're my friend. I wouldn't turn my back on you." She insisted. "No, Christine," he said firmly. They sailed And in silence, did you make the chandelier fall tonight? She asked. Enough of your questions. He roared so loudly Christine trembled. I'd better take you back, she said. He said more calmly. With a sweep of his cloak, the boat changed direction. A disappearing act. Chapter 7. The next day, the manager sat in his office with Madame G. We must get to his Penton. Little Pickel was gone. Charlotta left us. The opera house is falling apart. All is not lost. Don't forget we have Christine, said Madame G. The manager scratched his chin. You're right, there's something magical about her. Draw up a contract. Charlotta pursed his ear. Here's that afternoon poster went up all around Paris advertising the new star of the show. Before the show, Christine nervously paced her dressing room. It was one thing to do a single performance at the last minute, but quite another to be a leading lady forever. What if they hated me? But Christine was born star. By the end of the show, she felt as if she played the part all her life. The show was almost over when the orchestra abruptly stopped playing. The chorus stopped singing and the dancers stopped dancing. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Even the temperature seemed to drop. The only person who didn't stop was Christine. She continued to sing. With a crackle, the light flashed, and the stage went dark. Christine let out a scream that sent shivers down everyone's spine. The lights flared back on, lightening the stage. A trapdoor was opened, and Christine has vanished. Christine! Shouted the Count from his seat in the front row. Is the part of the show? Where did she go? The phantom must have taken her, she yelled through that trapdoor. Follow me. The manager and Madame G jumped up from their seats and ran after the Count. The three of them disappeared under the opera house into the phantom's secret world. They ran down the twisting tunnels until they reached the lake. There she is, the Count pointed to Christine, who was in the boat with the phantom, with mist floated around them. Give her back, you beast! I love her. No, snarled Phantom. She's mine now. Keep away. It's for the best, Count, Christine sobbed. The Phantom turned to Christine. I only wanted to be happy with a wife and a family. But you can't, Christine insisted. Who could you love? Who could love me? He growled. Let her go, said the Count. Don't worry, Christine, I'm coming over. He began to wade into the lake. Get back, warned the Phantom. He flicked his cloak and the water around the boat blazed into flame. No, screamed Christine. Leave him alone and I'll stay with you. So she reached up and kissed the Phantom's cheek where it wasn't hidden by the mask. Instantly the fire went out. The Phantom fell to his knees, crying, no one has never kissed me. Not even my own mother. You are the kindest person I ever known. I told you I'm your friend, said Christine, but you frightened me. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I was just so lonely. Christine put a hand on his shoulder. They could hear police whistles in the distance. I must go, the Phantom said, but Christine began and paused in shock. He had vanished. All that was left in the boat was the Phantom's mask. The boat floated to shore. Christine, said the Count, helping her out. You're safe now. They they watched as the empty boat floated in the mist. The manager, Madame G, and the police looked around in bewilderment. Christine clutched the mask in her hands. Goodbye, my angel of music. Where's she gone? Bye bye.